Eala was caught on mic saying, "I'm F-seeking done." Those 3 words changed everything. In a sport built on control and composure, she finally cracked. The cameras caught it, the crowd heard it, and the internet exploded overnight. Was it frustration, exhaustion, or the moment she stopped holding back? Every player hits their breaking point, but few do it under this much pressure. She wasn't just battling her opponent, she was fighting herself. Her silence turned into a scream, and the world couldn't look away. From whispers in locker rooms to headlines across the globe, the fallout was instant. And now, the question everyone's asking, what really happened to Eala that day? Before the outburst, before the microphones picked up those infamous words, Eala was the picture of calm. At just 20 years old, she'd already carried the weight of a nation's expectations. The Philippines had crowned her its tennis prodigy, disciplined, focused, the one who never broke. But inside, pressure had been simmering for months. Endless travel, media demands, back-to-back matches that left no room to breathe, all of it piling up behind that collected smile. It was supposed to be another regular tournament. A mid-season event, smaller than the Grand Slams but stacked with names fighting for ranking points and reputation. Eala entered as a fan favorite, ranked higher than most in her draw. Everyone expected her to cruise through the early rounds. But what fans didn't see was the toll the previous months had taken. A nagging shoulder pain, a missed flight, arguments with her coach about strategy. Little cracks that never made headlines, until now. That morning, Eala woke up later than usual. She skipped breakfast interviews, avoided the press area, and walked into the locker room with headphones on, eyes distant, face unreadable. Her teammates noticed she wasn't her usual self. There was something colder in her focus, something heavy behind her silence. And when she stepped on court, it was clear she was playing a different kind of match. Not just against her opponent, but against herself. The first set went fast, but not in her favor. Unforced errors, double faults, mistimed returns. The opponent, a rising European player known for taunting smirks and quick sarcasm, whispered a few words at the net after one game. Nobody could hear them clearly, but Eala's expression shifted. Her jaw tightened, her pace quickened, and the rhythm of her game began to crumble. Still, she fought. That's what she always did. She fought through the noise, the pressure, the doubt. Midway through the second set, her coach called for calm. "Breathe, Alex," he mouthed from the stands. But she didn't look up. She couldn't, because breathing felt like losing. Every rally became a battle for control, the racket trembling slightly in her hand, the eyes darting toward the line judge after each call. The tension was visible now, not just in her game, but in her body language. She slammed her towel down after one missed backhand. She muttered under her breath after another error. The cameras zoomed in, sensing something was brewing. The commentators started to pick it up too. "This isn't the same Eala we're used to seeing," one said quietly. "She looks disconnected." And they were right, because somewhere between the cheers and the frustration, Eala had crossed an invisible line. The calm competitor who never lost her temper was disappearing, replaced by someone raw, someone tired of pretending. Fans watching live began posting on X, formerly Twitter. "Eala doesn't look okay. She's frustrated. This isn't like her." But nobody imagined what was about to happen next. The moment when the silence would finally snap, and those 3 words, "I'm ficking done," would escape into the open, because that moment wasn't about one bad match. It was about everything that came before it. The pressure to be perfect, the expectation to represent an entire country, the exhaustion of trying to meet every headline's promise. Eala was human and humans break. The difference is, hers happened under the lights, with every camera pointed at her. And this was just the beginning. The sun hung high above the court, burning through the afternoon air as Alex stepped up to serve. The scoreline was brutal, 3-6, 2-5, and every point felt heavier than the last. Her opponent, a fiery, loud competitor from Eastern Europe, was thriving in the chaos. She shouted after every winner, clenched her fist toward Eala's box, feeding off the tension. And for the first time, Alex didn't hide her irritation. She glared across the net, muttering something under her breath that cameras couldn't catch. Yet. It started with a call, a close baseline shot that clipped the line, or maybe missed it by a hair. The umpire called it out. Eala froze mid-swing, disbelief flashing across her face. She raised her hand, asking for a review, but the tournament didn't have electronic line calling on that court. Her opponent smirked, turning her back without hesitation. That small gesture, that smirk, was the spark that lit the fire. "Are you serious?" Eala shouted toward the chair umpire. No answer. The crowd grew restless, murmuring as the tension rose. "Every time it's close, it's out for me," she said, pacing near the baseline. Still, the umpire remained stoic, professional, distant. That's when the frustration started bubbling into anger. She slammed her racket once, hard, against her shoe. The echo of graphite hitting rubber sent a jolt through the stadium. Her coach signaled for her to calm down, but she shook her head. Something inside had already cracked. Each rally that followed was a war, her ground strokes wild, her movement reckless, her control slipping like sand through her fingers. And then came the breaking point, a double fault on match point. Silence. Then applause from the other side. Her opponent shouted, "Come on!" Loud, defiant, sharp enough to cut through the air. Alex turned, eyes blazing. She walked to her bench, breathing heavily, muttering words only her mic could truly hear. And then, the moment that would go viral in seconds. She dropped her racket, covered her face, and whispered, but the court mics picked it up clearly. "I'm fucking done." It wasn't screamed. It wasn't theatrical. It was quiet, broken, and real. The kind of sentence that carries the weight of months, maybe years, of exhaustion. The broadcast caught it live. Within minutes, the clip hit social media. Fans clipped, captioned, and reposted it again and again. The phrase, "I'm fucking done," started trending. Not because it was shocking, but because it was raw. Inside that moment, Eala wasn't a player anymore. She was human. A 20-year-old caught between greatness and burnout. Her opponent celebrated while she sat motionless, staring into nothing. The umpire called the match. But this wasn't just a loss. It was the unraveling of her calm, the public birth of her breaking point. And every camera in the arena had caught it. Within minutes, the clip was everywhere. A fan sitting near the baseline uploaded it to social media before the match even ended. The shaky video, only 10 seconds long, carried the words that would echo across the tennis world. "I'm fucking done." It wasn't just another emotional slip. It was Eala, the calm, disciplined prodigy caught breaking down on live television. By the time she left the court, her phone was already flooding with notifications. The moment went viral, replayed, remixed, dissected. Some fans defended her, others mocked her, but nobody ignored it. In a single match, she went from inspiration to controversy. On X, one user wrote, "She's human. Let her feel it. Pressure kills even the strongest." Another replied, "No excuse. Professionals should act like professionals." The debate spiraled fast. Hashtags like Eala meltdown, tennis pressure, and CKING done started trending. Sports commentators weighed in on live shows that evening. "She's 20. She's under incredible pressure," one analyst said. But another countered, "This isn't the image she built her career on. Sponsors will see that differently." Clips spread across TikTok too, slowed down, captioned with dramatic music, side-by-side edits comparing her calm interviews to the explosion on court. Some creators romanticized the moment. "This is what burnout looks like." Others mocked it for views. No matter the angle, one thing was clear. Everyone was talking about Eala. In the Philippines, the story hit national news. Sports networks ran headlines like "Eala, Loses temper in shocking on-court meltdown. Morning. Shows debated whether the young star was cracking under fame. It became more than a tennis story. It became a reflection of celebrity pressure, of the cost of success. Even people who didn't watch tennis knew about the mic moment. Meanwhile, Alex stayed silent. No statement. No apology. No interview. Her social media pages went dark. No posts, no comments. And that silence made everything louder. Speculation grew. Was she quitting? Was this the start of a breakdown? Rumors began to swirl about tension with her coach, disagreements within her team. Every outlet wanted a piece of the story. By the third day, her sponsors began reaching out privately for clarification. Some fans even showed up outside her training venue with supportive banners. "We still believe in you, Alex." Others online weren't as kind. "You're done because you can't handle pressure." "She's overhyped. One bad call and she loses it." The divide was clear: admiration versus criticism. The world had seen a side of her she never meant to show. And the more people analyzed that 10-second clip, the more they projected their own meaning onto it. To some it was weakness. To others it was honesty. But to Eala, it was something else entirely. The sound of breaking after holding it all in for too long. As the media frenzy reached its peak, one question echoed across every platform. Was this the fall of a star? Or the start of her rebirth? By the fourth day, silence was no longer an option. The clip had crossed every border, translated into multiple languages, analyzed by psychologists, athletes, and even talk show hosts. What started as a raw human moment had become a full-blown controversy. Sponsors were calling her management. The WTA issued a short but pointed statement. Players are expected to maintain professionalism on and off the court. "We are reviewing the incident." It was the kind of corporate line that said everything without saying anything. Reporters camped outside the practice courts, waiting for a glimpse of Alex. Every movement was photographed. Her car arriving, her coach walking beside her. Even her silence became news. One headline read, "Eala trains in silence amid scandal." Another added fuel. "Sources say Eala's team is divided over media strategy." For the first time in her young career, Alex was playing defense off the court. Her team debated whether she should apologize or stay quiet. Some said an apology would look weak. Others warned that silence would cost her image. And in the middle of that storm sat a 20-year-old athlete, exhausted and overwhelmed, replaying those 3 words over and over again. "I'm fickin' done." Inside the locker room, tension was thick. Other players avoided her gaze, not out of hatred, but out of recognition. They knew what that moment felt like. They'd just never had their own breakdown broadcast to millions. One veteran player later told reporters anonymously, "People don't understand. You're trained to stay calm, but you're also human." She just had her human moment, but the internet isn't built for empathy. Clips were edited to look worse than they were. Commentators used it for views. A tabloid even claimed she stormed off without shaking hands, a story that wasn't true. Every hour, the narrative twisted a little more. From emotional outburst to disrespectful meltdown. From tired player to diva behavior. The backlash reached its peak when one of her sponsors temporarily pulled their logo from her website. The message was clear. Reputation mattered more than reality. That night, Alex sat in her hotel room scrolling through the noise, watching strangers define her story. Every opinion cut a little deeper, until finally she closed her phone and whispered to herself, "They don't know me." Meanwhile, journalists were already preparing the next headline. Eala expected to address the incident this week. Everyone was waiting, the fans, the critics, the brands. Would she apologize? Would she fight back? Or would she walk away completely? The pressure wasn't just about tennis anymore. It was about identity, about dignity, about reclaiming her voice from the echo chamber that turned her pain into a punchline. And when Alex finally broke her silence, the world would realize. She wasn't done at all. 5 days after the incident, the world finally heard from Eala. No PR filters, No staged press room, just a simple video, recorded on her phone, sitting on the edge of her hotel bed. Her hair was tied back, her voice calm but tired, her eyes raw. The caption read, "I owe everyone honesty." She began slowly. "Yes, I said it. I said, I'm fucking done." There was no denial, no excuse. Just truth. I was exhausted mentally, emotionally, physically. It wasn't about the match. It wasn't about my opponent. It was about me. I've been pushing so hard to live up to everyone's expectations that I forgot how to breathe. Her voice cracked mid-sentence. For the first time, fans saw not the fierce competitor, but the fragile human being beneath the sweat and smiles. I love tennis, but that day I didn't love myself. I was playing hurt, pretending I was fine. And when that last ball went out, everything I'd been holding in just came out. The video spread even faster than the original clip. This time the reactions were different. The same platforms that once mocked her were now filled with empathy. Fans flooded the comments with messages like, "This is courage. We've all had our breaking point. Respect for speaking up, Alex." Even other athletes chimed in. A few WTA players reshared her post with messages of support. One wrote, "We've all been there, but few have the guts to admit it publicly." Sports media quickly shifted tone. Suddenly, the conversation wasn't about profanity. It was about pressure. About how young athletes are expected to perform flawlessly while pretending they're unbreakable. About the invisible weight that comes with fame and national pride. In an interview later that week, her coach offered his own perspective. "She's one of the hardest workers I've ever seen." That moment wasn't weakness, wow, it was release. Sometimes strength means knowing when you're at your limit. Sponsors quietly reinstated their deals. The WTA dropped any disciplinary review, calling it a teachable moment, and fans began turning her quote, "I'm fucking done," into a symbol of defiance and honesty. Some even wore it on shirts at her next tournament, the asterisk replacing the middle letter like a badge of rebellion. For Alex, it wasn't about reclaiming her reputation. It was about reclaiming her peace. In her next match weeks later, she played freer, lighter, smiling between points for the first time in months. The crowd cheered louder than ever, not just because she won, but because she stood up, owned her truth, and refused to let the world define her story. Her words had started as frustration, but now they meant something deeper, something stronger. She wasn't done. She was finally beginning again. The echoes of that fateful moment still lingered in the air. "I'm fucking done." Those words, captured in a split second of raw emotion, had spread across social media faster than any tennis highlight ever could. But as the dust settled, the question remained. What did it really mean for Alex Eala, and for the sport she had given so much to? In the days following the incident, interviews, analysis, and fan debates painted a polarized picture. Some hailed her honesty as refreshing, a glimpse behind the polished veneer of professional tennis. Others criticized the outburst, calling it unprofessional, even disrespectful. But beneath the surface of controversy lay a young athlete struggling with immense pressure, public scrutiny, and expectations that seemed almost impossible to bear. Alex herself remained introspective. In a rare statement days later, she admitted, "Tennis is my life, but there are moments when the weight just feels unbearable. I lost my composure, yes, but I'm still fighting." Those words, measured yet sincere, reminded everyone that behind the viral clip was a human being, one navigating the extremes of competition and the intensity of global attention. This moment became a turning point, not just in Alex's career, but in how fans and commentators viewed professional athletes. Suddenly, the narrative shifted from flawless performance to emotional honesty. Analysts began discussing the unseen mental battles on the court, the frustration of close calls, the heartbreak of a missed opportunity, and the invisible burden carried by every serve and volley. Alex's words humanized a sport often seen as pristine and untouchable, sparking conversations about mental health, resilience, and the cost of chasing greatness. The backlash, though fierce, also galvanized support. Fans flooded social media with messages of encouragement. "We all have breaking points," wrote one. "Your honesty makes you real." "Keep going, Alex." Another fan tweeted, "This moment showed she's not just a player, she's a fighter." Even fellow athletes reached out privately, acknowledging the pressure they all endured. It was a reminder that empathy could thrive even in the most competitive arenas. As the weeks passed, Alex returned to the court, her game sharper, her focus more disciplined. She carried with her the lesson that vulnerability could coexist with strength. Every swing, every point, every match became more than a statistic. It became a testament to resilience, to the human spirit, and to the courage of confronting one's breaking points publicly. Looking back, that single raw utterance, "I'm fucking done," was not a surrender. It was a declaration of humanity, a reminder that even champions have moments of doubt, frustration, and exhaustion. And in that honesty, Alex Eala forged a new chapter of her legacy, one where emotion and excellence are not mutually exclusive but deeply intertwined. So now, as fans and critics continue to debate the incident, one question remains. Did that outburst define Alex Eala, or did it reveal the very strength that would propel her forward? The answer is still unfolding, but one thing is certain. The world will never see her, or tennis, quite the same way again. Her story is far from over. And as the next match looms, every fan wonders, will the lessons of that moment shape her into an even greater champion? Only time will tell. If Alex Eala can face this level of pressure and still fight back, what would you do in her shoes? Comment your thoughts below. We want to hear your take. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss the latest drama, rivalries, and emotional moments in women's tennis. Every story has more behind the headlines. Be part of it.